everybody, and welcome to Boston Sports Nuts, Monday, December 2nd. I'm Ken Berman, joined by my good buddy Paul Izzo.
Good to be here, Ken.
Jim Russo. Hi, Jim.
Ken?
First of all, everybody have a nice Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yeah? Have some food, something to eat?
No.
No. Okay.
Love the sides. The sides. It's all about the sides.
It's all about the sides.
A lot to eat.
I'd say squash souffle is my favorite side now.
Squash souffle. What are you, foo-foo?
I don't know. It's so good. It's
Squash
like eating
souffle.
dessert while eating the meal.
Yeah, okay.
Mashed
Whatever.
taters, all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a busy sports weekend, right, guys?
Yes, very busy. Very busy.
You know, we got a little Pat stuff to talk about. What's going on there? Disappointment of the game yesterday. But, Paul, you were there, so.
I was. Well, you know, it's another close game that they didn't win. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Since Thanksgiving of 2022, they have the worst record in the National Football League. They've won 9 games since Thanksgiving of 2 years ago.
Is that bad?
That is the worst
Classic
record in
Ken
the
line.
National Football League. So I think we can safely say that the transition from the Brady-Belichick era into the new era has not yet taken hold. In fact, it may hit rock bottom yesterday. And I think a lot of the same things that we have all been talking about all year came to fruition. Number one, you see flashes of greatness in Drake May. The pinpoint accuracy with some of his throws, especially the touchdown pass to Austin Hooper, a couple of those bullets across the middle. You see his ability to make plays with his feet. He had a 41-yard run down the left side of the field. He had opportunities to get even more yards, but you can see he's wisely not sacrificing his body the way he was earlier in the season. So that's good. But all the same bad things are cropping up. The inability of the defense to stop the opposition when it has to, the inability of the offense to get the ball in the end zone when it's inside the red area, inconsistent coaching decisions, overly conservative play calling. So I want to be optimistic, and it's great that the Patriots seem to have found a quarterback, but there are so many other problems to fix. Whether it's the offensive line, it's the lack of depth at skill positions, it's the inability to generate a consistent pass rush, the few number of sacks they get against these quarterbacks, penalties on the offensive line. These aren't one-offs. These are things we've been watching now for a year or more, and they haven't gotten better under Gerard Mayo. And I know we spent the last Patriots episode, I think it was episode number 1 or 2, beating up Gerard Mayo. I think we have to beat him up again because I don't think he had a much better day yesterday. So that's my take.
Jim?
I want to focus on one play. Or 2 or 3.
Make it 4 or 5. And
No.
we've got a
Patriots
team.
up with the ball, over 5 minutes to go, decent field position, run, sack. They're going to punt. They wait till the last possible second to snap the ball.
Yeah.
The other team has over 5 minutes left on a drive. And I thought to myself, is this the 50s? Where they're killing the clock with 6 minutes to go or whatever it was.
In a one touchdown.
And
lead.
I texted you guys, this could come back to haunt them. And it did because the other team drove 19 yards. They scored. They got
19 plays.
19 plays.
Yeah.
They scored. They got the 2-point conversion. And the Pats had, 14 seconds to try to kick a field goal?
Yeah.
You can't play in the NFL like that. The Pats, should have been going to put the game away, make it 2 scores with that much time. And 2, they should have been kicking with as little time as possible because every offense is favored on last-minute drives. They have 4 downs. Yeah, when they punted. Yeah. Every offense is favored unless it's a very weak team against a very good team because they now have 4 downs. And we did see them complete
3 different 4 downs.
Was it 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 4 downs.
3 different 4 down. They would have punted on at least one of those. If we haven't learned that yet, where are we?
Yeah. So can we stick on that one before you move on to the other 2? So just it was
those were the 2 plays. Run, punt.
Oh, I thought you meant 3 different scenarios.
No.
Because there was a different one.
Stick on it. Go ahead.
There were actually 8 minutes left.
Okay.
When they got the ball, right?
When they got the ball. They were close to midfield.
Yeah.
It was off a turnover. It wasn't off a punt. So the Patriots have the ball at about the 40-yard line. What are you worried about? A turnover? What? There's still going to be 7 or 8 minutes left. Even if Indy comes down and scores, you're likely to get the ball. I don't know what they were so worried about.
I don't know.
Run, pass.
Run, sack.
Run. Well, it was a pass
I know,
play.
but
Pass
sack.
play, yeah.
May had been making plays all the second half.
Yeah.
Pinpoint throws, runs. We were astonished in the stands, and you absolutely texted and said it at the time. But we acted as if there were 45 seconds left.
Right.
They got the ball with over 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Indianapolis had more than enough time. It shows it's almost like they don't believe what they're saying in Drake May. They refuse to accept that he can make a play,
Right.
that he's fairly reliable. And as somebody pointed out, I think it was in The Athletic today, Chad Graff or Steve Buckley, he's their best player.
Yeah.
He may be a rookie, but he's their most valuable asset. So you utilize it. And if they get a couple of first downs and get a field goal, they win the game.
Right.
They're up 10 with 4 minutes
Yeah,
left.
like they
the
didn't
game's over.
Yeah, they didn't go to win the game.
They didn't try to win the game. They did a similar thing in the first half where they got very conservative down inside the 10-yard line and ended up kicking that field goal, which missed,
Oh, yeah, right.
which was a bleep show.
Yeah.
It just, I'm not seeing winning coaching decisions. I'm just not. Now, you want to tell me that some of it is player execution? Because that's the new word that he just...
I know. You got to execute.
We got to execute. We got to execute.
Well, that was Bill's word, too.
I know, but he didn't say it every 3 seconds. Okay?
I said it a lot.
No, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and look at every single
Google that, will you?
post-game interview.
Yeah, Google that.
I got a Google machine. You want
Anyway,
go ahead.
it's too much of the same stuff over and over and over again.
What gets me is like I watched this game and I'm saying they should have like 40 points.
Correct.
What was it? The first 4 possessions they were in the red zone and came away with
Well, they were in the scoring zone at least.
Well, 3 field goals.
3 field goals and 1 touchdown. But every field goal was they were driving for a touchdown and got held up by something. Well, usually a holding call. But one thing that got me is that I'm watching the game on TV. And you did too, Jim. Paul, you were there, and you can see the replay. The helmet-to-helmet on Hunter Henry was like, I don't know. If you're telling us you care about player safety, I don't get that not being called. But then I think it was the very next play or the play after that where they ran it in for a touchdown, but they negated it with a holding call. I think the guy went like this to the defensive guy. Here, get away from my guy. Get away. And they called a holding, and you just let Hunter Henry get absolutely destroyed?
Coaching, we used to have a rule when I coached. I didn't coach football, but basketball and baseball.
Yeah.
If you're getting beat this badly over a season, complain about officials, forget about it.
I'm not complaining about it.
I know what you're saying. The first thing you said, I absolutely agree with. The safety-conscious NFL.
Yeah.
First of all, he got a vicious hit to the head, helmet to helmet, which knocked him into another helmet.
Yeah.
He actually got twice on
Right.
the same
You
play.
could see 'em both,
And
yes.
the other guy was not intentional. Okay? We saw a vicious helmet to helmet on Trevor Lawrence, which was called. But not calling it on Hunter Henry was absurd. But I'm sorry. I'm not blaming the refs for a 3-9 Patriots team or 3-10, whatever they are, who can't score in the red zone, whose offensive line is a
Totally
shamble,
agree.
and whose coaching is incredibly conservative, which is straight out of, like I said, the 1950s. I'm just not complaining about refs.
Oh, I'm not-
I'll complain about refs in the Celtics-Cavs game if you want.
We'll
but
get
not
to
this
that,
one.
I guess.
Well, getting back to they're 3-9, or was it 3-10?
3-10
They're
now.
3-10. More than 50%.
Is that bad?
more than 50% of this year's National Football League games have been decided by one score, and the Patriots consistently lose those games.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
They
You know, as my son, I love him to death. He's always saying, "We could be 6-7. We could be 6-7 right now." Yeah, but they could also be 2-11. I mean, the reality is they're not winning these close games. I want to get to the defense for a minute.
Yeah.
They're losing the excuse that they don't have their good players. You don't get to say we don't have Matt Judon anymore because you traded him away.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. One of their linebackers we know got hurt, but they've got Barmore back. They've got Duggar back. They've got Christian Gonzalez
Got Peppers back.
Got Peppers back. Some of these guys are beat up a little bit. They got their big money Devin Gottschalk. He's in there. They're not stopping anybody. They're really not. They're allowing too many runs, too many fourth down, too many 3rd and 1s. Yesterday was an exception. They did have 2 interceptions, but for the most part, they have not been turning the ball over. They've been losing the turnover battle. That was one of their strengths, even when they were not playing well the last couple of years. The defense was turning the ball over. So I'm a simple man.
Yes.
I want to know what it is.
Leonard Skinner, 1970 something.
Right.
I want to know what it is that Gerard Mayo and DeMarcus Covington and Dante Hightower are bringing to the table defensively. I'm not seeing it. Is it they're more aggressive? No. Is it they know how to make big plays? No. Is it they can stop the other team in crunch time? They can rush the quarterback?
Boy, they don't ever
they
get
have
to
a
the
difficult
quarterback, man.
secondary. There's nothing that I can point to other than there maybe is some talent there that's being underutilized.
Yeah, one of the questions I heard on the radio, even driving over today, was should Mayo take over the play calling for the defense? And I don't know the answer to that, but wouldn't you think he's already pretty involved in it? Wouldn't you take it over?
Only in football would we have this discussion. Yesterday, somebody said, we saw Gerard Mayo go over and talk to the defense with the blue thing during the game. Well, Bill did that all the time. He's the head coach. This is not like earth-shattering change. I'm sorry. Either he's involved or he's not. He's the head coach. He makes the decisions. That's it. It's on him. If he thinks he should get more involved, get more involved.
Yeah. I agree.
At the same time, I think a legitimate thing to observe is that he rarely does talk to people.
Very rarely.
Whenever the camera's on him, he's usually just staring off onto the field.
Yep.
Maybe talking into his microphone.
Well, that's more his coaching styles. We can get into that. I don't mind that. But this idea that, do this and do that. He's hired the guy, Covington. If he's not happy with him, he's got to do something about it.
That's his responsibility.
Absolutely his responsibility.
So what do they got? 3 games left?
4.
4 games.
Can I give you...
Oh, by the way, the safety conscious NFL increased it to 17 games. So there's, right. Yeah. And they want to go to 18 now. Okay.
Right.
These guys can't make it through 3 weeks without getting hurt.
Let me, can I address a few other things in that game? Sort of segueing to our next show. The media complaining about the 60-yard, 8-yard field goal. Citing 2 Hail Marys that worked this year. I kind of find it refreshing. I think the call with 4 seconds left was great. I really do. They got a playoff in 3 seconds and a timeout. I mean, and then I was psyched they were going for the field goal.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it either.
Yeah, a friend of mine that likes long field goals. I'm sure he was too. It would have been a record. It fell a few yards short. The second thing is headline in the Globe. So-and-so teaches Mayo a lesson. Listen, they went for 2. Most coaches do not.
Right.
Okay? So don't tell me he taught Mayo a lesson. He decided to put his whole season on the line on one play, and it worked. Good for him.
If it hadn't worked, he'd be getting murdered.
He'd be getting murdered in the Indianapolis media.
Yeah.
So don't tell me he taught him a lesson on that play. There's plenty of other things we can talk about with Gerard Mayo than those 2 things, like at the very end of the game. Please.
So I want to bring up...
They're just dumping on the guy when they go that far.
Yeah, that's right. I want to bring up a new subject. There were a lot of troubling comments after the game, particularly in the Herald today. There were a lot of guys in the locker room, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, saying things that sounded a little bit like finger pointing, sounded a little bit like they're not all aligned, they're not all happy. If I'm Robert Kraft, do I have to call him Mr. Kraft? By the way? Is that required
absolutely
on this show?
not.
Every other owner in the league is Art Rooney,
No,
whoever.
he's Robert
Jerry
Kraft
Jones.
to
He's
us.
Mr. Kraft.
Mr.
Kraft. If I'm Mr. Kraft, I'm a little concerned about this. This is not what you want to see.
No.
So, anyway, that's my
Any
Patriots
particular
take.
comments that you heard?
Oh, good.
Oh, no. I mean, it's a whole bunch of them, mostly on the defensive line, guys saying things like, we're making the same mistakes over and over again,
that kind
or
of
we're just
stuff.
not prepared, and all the usual stuff.
Look, when you're losing, it's much tougher coaching when you're losing.
Yeah.
Because you got to control all that, and apparently it's not being totally controlled, so that's all right. I want to. Can we go forward a little bit?
Sure.
Please.
I want to give.
Who wants
you,
to look back?
Okay, I want to give you, gentlemen, some hope.
Oh, last
I am
show I was
here
Mr. Hope.
To take you to some
Bob
hope.
Hope.
Now, as a way of getting our new viewers up to speed, I argued all last year that the hope was to lose games and get one of the top 3 quarterbacks. You guys and almost everyone else I talked to said that was not the way to go.
He loves this, Paul.
Now you're raving about Drake May. Well, the number one hope is Drake May. I thought he looked outstanding yesterday.
Yeah.
This show is being taped on a Monday. I thought he looked outstanding. And he has so little to work with. So little to work with. But this is a start. Now, I'm going to give you more hope.
Oh,
Throughout the Tom Brady era,
Paul, keep hope alive.
I'm dialing up Bob Hope's biography
go
right
ahead.
here.
Good. Tom Brady, in only one season that I remember, because he got hurt in the second year, in the first game, had what people would call a top-flight wide receiver, a stretch-the-field wide receiver, and that was Randy Moss. We can agree on that, right?
Yeah.
To his great, he had other great receivers. They were just different types. I am going to give you the hope. Tataroa McMillan.
Tataroa McMillan.
He is 6'5". This would be one
That's
of the
taller than you.
Yeah, a little
taller
bit.
relievers
Yeah.
the Pats have ever had.
By about a foot.
210 pounds. He goes to Arizona. He has 84 catches this year, 1,319 yards, 8 touchdowns, and get this for a possible Patriots receiver, 15.7 yards per catch. Now, I am not going to sit here and tell you I'm a draft expert.
But you are.
Yeah,
but-
he's pretty good at it. Yeah.
Tankathon, which I follow
Yeah.
every week.
Well, we're back into it.
Okay. The Patriots are currently sitting at 4th. Tankathon last week had the Pats, up till last week, had the Pats taking an offensive line wing. Last week and this week, they have them taking McMillan. This is the hope.
That's
Okay?
yeah.
We'll fix the line another way. Round 2, round 3, round 4, whatever.
Yeah.
This is the hope. Give Drake May someone to throw to.
Okay.
Now,
Thank you.
He's
4
not done
games
yet.
left.
Do we get the wife too? McMillan and wife?
4
McMillan
games
was.
left.
Watch that show.
Cardinals at Arizona. Semi-winnable game. Cardinals will be favored. Bills, I believe the first one's at Buffalo.
It is.
Okay, Bills will clearly be favored.
And win.
Now, they've clinched the division, but they are in the race for best record because they
Yes.
got a tie with Kansas City. Third game,
Tiebreaker.
tiebreaker. Chargers at home.
Hey, we
Okay?
got to be specific.
Oh,
on this
yeah.
show.
Yeah, we always have been. Chargers at home. Chargers under Jim Harbaugh are winning close games, unlike the Pats.
Right.
Now, that's an argument for coaching. I texted a Charger fan. He texted me this morning. My Charger friend lives outside Detroit. And when he said they're winning, I said, Harbaugh. He said, yeah, absolutely. Much better defense. Okay? And the last game is Buffalo at home. Guys, I'm not saying the Pats should try to tank. Take that off the table. They should try everything to win these 4 games. All I'm saying, Tataroa McMillan.
I think you're
And
saying
wife.
that's a must
It
lose.
would not be the worst thing in the world if they lost 4 games.
Must lose.
Okay. Jim, I'm excited already. Can we just fast forward to next summer?
Yeah, really.
And by the way, Chad Finn in the Globe today said he hopes the next game they win is 2025.
Yeah. We are now at that point, let's face it. Like, Drake may play well, learn, get a good draft pick. But I think the overall question that's thrown around a lot is, would you stick with Mayo in the coaching staff?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I was hoping we get to that. I'm going to
Wait a minute. You guys are not going to comment on
I
whether
just
they
did.
should lose?
No, on whether they should
okay.
lose.
Whether
Not
they-
try to lose. Whether you want them to lose.
I don't want them to lose.
I can't watch and want them
I
to
just
lose.
when I
Okay.
watched the game,
All
and
right.
we had this discussion last year.
No, I know, but not on the air.
No, I know.
We didn't have a
When
show.
I watch them, I can't make myself want them to lose.
Okay.
I just can't do
I
it.
can't do it either.
All right.
I can't do it. Now you could like if it was the last game of the year and it was the difference between getting, the next Tom Brady and getting an offensive lineman, and I really needed a quarterback, maybe I'd root for them to lose. But with 4 games left, there's too many variables. I don't think I have to root for them to lose. That's a tough hoe. That's a tough road to hoe. Those 4 games.
Yeah, that's,
I think
Then not-
Buffalo twice, at San Diego.
Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna.
Those are tough games.
One other thing on this.
By the way, I'm really looking forward to that January 6th game in Foxborough. That's going to be a lot of
should
fun.
be fun.
Oh yeah, that should be great.
One other thing about this, and I mentioned
Wanna
this,
go?
I mentioned this last week.
You know what? My sock drawer is out of control. Let me fix that up.
Great. The Pats have the tiebreaker, which is reverse strength of schedule. So, in other words, weakness of schedule with every non-playoff team but Miami. Keep that in mind. So, if one of the 3 teams above them loses a game, we get the tiebreaker with them.
Because we have a less strong,
We have the weakest schedule. among
weaker
those 3.
schedule.
So anyway,
Okay, but
okay,
that does
let's go with
that
Matt.
does lead into the next point, which is who should be running this team.
Okay. Yes, it does.
Okay,
Yeah.
because whether that pick's going to be a 4 or a 6 or a 3, it's going to be pretty good. They're not going to
should
run
be.
the table.
No. they're not
Okay.
gonna run the table.
All right. Here's what I want to know: does Mr. Kraft have the
I thought you
cojones
gave him permission.
I thought we went to Robert Kraft.
to
We didn't.
make a change after having hand selected this very nice young man? We all agree, Gerard
guy.
Mayo, based on in part a trip to Israel where they bonded and they had a wonderful time together and they
Was a
gave
good-
each other nicknames, Thundercat or whatever it is.
Good player,
What?
team player.
Yeah, no, it's what Mayo calls Kraft.
Okay.
All right?
I
Thundercat.
didn't
Yeah,
realize
something. Is that something that Robert Kraft can convince himself? I'm sorry, Mr. Kraft can convince himself
that. Your permission means nothing.
to
Nothing.
pull. I just can't do it out of respect for the man.
Yes.
Can pull the trigger on, and I don't think he can. I
Paul,
can hear
you
it.
answered your question last week. Your answer was no. You were right last week. You're right this week.
But
he's
even
not going to do it.
I know, but even after this game where there's so many questions, but here's what
No,
I
he's
think.
going to go 25-24.
But I think here's what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to say we want some changes, whether it's the defensive coordinator or bring in an outside consultant, an older coach. He's going to do something that he can throw the fans. I'm telling you, last night, I'm still on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. If you type in Gerard Mayo, it is nonstop negative. I mean, the fans have turned on him. A lot of times Dan Shaughnessy will say there were a lot of empty seats in Foxborough, and there aren't really that many empty seats. There were a lot of empty seats yesterday.
Were they really?
The whole row in front of me was empty until some people saw it and moved down from the upper deck. The upper deck was half full.
Ooh.
Now, those tickets are already sold,
Right.
but that's a lot of beer and hot dog money they're not getting. And it also looks bad.
Looks bad.
I think that's a reasonable theory. He fires the pitching coach. It's a reasonable theory.
like
Still
the-
going to be Mayo. There's no way he admits he made a mistake with Mayo.
So you think it's like Covington or somebody like that's gone, or
I think that if anybody, it'll be the defensive coordinator, because I think Mayo's going to make an argument that, look, Drake May's developed great.
yeah.
He's better than half the quarterbacks in this league right now. And Mayo may even make an argument that he's better than the Daniels, which I think is a reasonable debate. You got to give it to Daniels for Rookie of the Year, but I think they're going to say, we developed that kid to be really good. And I think Kraft will say, okay, one more year with Van Pelt, we'll see what happens. Covington's probably the guy to go.
If we had to call you Mr. Izzo and Mr. Russo because you own the Patriots, would you change everybody?
I'd fire the entire organization. I'd fire myself. Remember, this is not
I'm the owner and I'm fired.
This is not a 100-year flood. This is a 5-year flood.
Right.
The transition to the post-Brady era has been an epic fail. Their last 50 games,
9 wins.
last 51 games, they've only won 31% of them.
Yeah.
That's a pretty poor record. They have the worst record in the league the last 2 full seasons going back to
I
Thanksgiving
didn't
of
even realize
2022.
that. Should have.
The worst, 9 wins total.
Sheesh.
Look, here's what I'm doing with the Pats
that's-
as a fan. Here's what I'm doing as
That's not good.
Here's what I'm
No.
doing as a fan. The first 3 years under Belichick, because he coached the team up, really hurt this team. I'll believe that forever as a
The
fan.
first 3 post-Brady years.
The first 3 post-Brady years. He really hurt the Patriots.
Yeah.
These 2 years that are happening now should have happened year 1 and 2.
Yep.
After the Garoppolo, in my opinion, mistake on 2 levels, which we talked about last week. One was if Belichick had prepared for the future, you should have either let Bill do what he wanted in that case, which was finish out with Brady that year and then go to Garoppolo. You could have traded Brady and got at least one number 1 pick at that point. Or if you're going to stick with Brady, and I understand why you would, you keep him. They chose a third option, which did not work.
Yeah.
Then Bill coached him up for a couple of years. I think those years were wasted years.
The 7-9 Cam
I
Newton year
know
was a waste.
these years are tough to endure. This is what you go through when you rebuild after you ditch your quarterback that you had for the rebuild. I'm not even saying it would have worked, but Bill was prepared. And then they made the bad choice of not keeping Brady once they let Jimmy G go. So this is year 2 to me of the whatever you want to call it. And I think adjustments have to be made every year, which is why I think Paul is probably right. The DC will go. That'll be their adjustment. If they get McMillan or another comparable really good player, Kraft will say, okay, I'm going to give Mayo this year.
Yeah, and I think Van Pelt obviously is staying because May's looking pretty good. And
Yeah, I mean, look, we got to be fair. I haven't agreed with everything he's done, but part of his job was to develop Drake May. The guy is great. He's the only reason I watch.
Yeah.
The main Celtics, I think, are on against him. If they didn't have him, I'd probably watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, Drake May is worth tuning in. To me,
Yeah, he
he's
is.
worth tuning in every week.
Yeah, and you don't see anything to be worried about. The times that he makes mistakes seem to be correctable mistakes.
Yeah.
Like he was throwing his body around too much. Yesterday, he was running out of bounds 3 or 4 yards before
Right.
he was getting hit. He
Right.
was sliding before he was getting hit.
Yep.
He seems to be threading the needle a little bit better. He's making the short throws a little better. I think he only had 4 or 5 incompletions,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, he had a good day. That's what I mean. They should have scored 40 points. Get down there and score a touchdown, for goodness
All right, I hate
sake.
to take us off this
Yeah.
great topic, but we're about halfway through, so
Okay.
can we get to topic 2, Ken?
All right, let's move on to the men in green.
Okay, the men in green / the whole cup thing. Can we do all that?
Yes.
The men in green are awesome. They're just. I know today's Monday. They played yesterday and lost to their new rivalry, burgeoning rivalry against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jim,
Yes.
is that what we're calling it? Because that's a great team too. But they're just a super good team. You know, I think you always say, "Tell me who's playing." Well, White and Brown didn't play
Right.
yesterday, right?
Right.
But so to me, the Celtics are just great. I mean, it's Boston right now. They are the team. That's like we are lucky to have that team. I just think they're super. What is 7? What do they get? 3 losses, 4 losses now, something
4.
like that. Yeah,
4.
I mean, I still think they're the best team in the league.
Yeah, they do have an emerging rivalry with the Cavs. Now, game 1, Okoro and LeVert didn't play, who are 2 of the Cavs' better defensive players.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, I could see what Okoro means to the Cavs the last game. He even blocked Tatum in the last game on a drive that Tatum, one-on-one in the open court, is going to score 90% of the time. He's a really good defender. And LeVert's a really good player. And they didn't have the guy that kills Boston, which is Wade. But the Celtics in game 2 were the least healthy team. They didn't have Brown and White. And Brown probably would have guarded Mitchell, especially when Mitchell went off. Yeah. So I agree with you. The Celtics are a great team. They're probably still the favorites. But I'll point out right now some things I'm seeing that I think we should be slightly concerned about. One is Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we all love him. Whether it's he played in the Olympics and he's tired.
My theory.
Okay. He's
Yeah.
got a couple of nagging injuries, to be fair, that he's playing through.
He
And
won't
he's had
play
to-
tonight, I bet.
He's had to sit a game, at least one that I can remember. Excuse me. He's not the same player. He's not making the threes, and guys are beating him off the dribble. This is a concern for the Celtics. I would not put Peyton Pritchard in the starting lineup, even though Peyton Pritchard is having an outstanding season. He is instant offense right now, and there's no way. And I thought Joe made a great move last night. He easily could have started Pritchard for White. He did not. And I totally support that move because you're bringing off the bench Peyton Pritchard. Second,
Yeah, but I'm going to stop you there. Why is that a positive?
that what?
If he's so good, why is that a positive? You're taking it as a given that because he's good and you're bringing him off the bench, so why not start him?
Why not start him? Because you've got Tatum in that lineup. You've got Brown in that lineup.
Well, not last
You've got
night.
Porzingis in that lineup, and you've got Derek White in that lineup. He's
But
not.
you didn't last night is the
He's
point.
not going to get as many shots.
But you didn't have White and you didn't have Brown.
But I think it's the old Red theory. Okay, it's who finishes. He finished, and when you bring that kind, I would just not have disrupted that. He's
Okay.
playing so well. You're right. They didn't have those guys last night, but I just wouldn't have disrupted it. And he got big minutes, and he finished the game. The second thing I'd be concerned about is once again last night, two egregious. Everybody wants to focus on the last play or Tatum missing the layup. Get it. Absolutely. No question. But, and I know this game is going to fade into memory, but I'll just use these two as examples for the season. Once again, two egregious defensive mistakes down the stretch. Somehow, Holiday was left between an open Okoro and an open Mitchell.
Yeah.
Okoro got the ball, Holiday drifted to him, right back to Mitchell 3. How does that happen? With Donovan Mitchell on a heater. Now, the game before, Donovan Mitchell was like 5 for 26.
Right.
That ain't this game. He's on fire. And then the next possession, he's all alone because Porzingis is in a drop coverage. You can't be in a drop coverage when the best player
I
on the
love when
other
he does that.
team is on a heater. You can't be.
Drop
now, everybody wants to
coverage.
focus on Tatum's missed layup, and I'll say he did miss. But, guys, that's the kind of things that cost you games. And I'm seeing that too much down the stretch right now in close games. But, yeah, I'm with Ken. They're still a favorite. So.
They're not. It might be due to the long season, a few of them playing in the Olympics too. They're not locked in defensively this year like they were last year. I mean, last year they were, maybe not against Cleveland, but against most teams, they were winning by 20 points. Like, I think they set the record, right, for most 20-plus point wins in a season.
I think they did, yeah.
Something like that.
I think they had 350-point wins.
Yeah, then they're just not at that level yet. And yet, they're, I don't know, what's their record? 14?
11-4.
No, they got more
What
than 11.
record?
The Celtics.
No, they're 16-4.
16 and 4.
11. What am I thinking?
It's 16 and 4.
Yeah.
They started off 8-2, and since then they've gone 8-2.
8 and 2.
yeah.
And
They're winning 80% of their games.
and I'll agree with Jim. They're not locked in defensively like they were last year. But I think they have that in them. And it was a long season last year, and a few guys played in the Olympics, and we just got Porzingis back, who has made a difference in the paint.
Yes.
But anyway, you go.
Well, I'm a little bit more pessimistic right now because I'm worried about health. First of all, Porzingis is coming back from an injury that's so unusual. I think it was it you or Sam that told me that a London doctor actually did research online and found in the history
Sam.
of the world only like 25 or 30 cases of it ever occurring in any medical record in the world.
Wow.
It's very, very unusual injury. He doesn't look 100% out there, particularly on defense. He's making some shots,
Yeah.
but I'm worried about him. What's going on with Jaylen Brown? Is Derek White's foot an issue? They said it's not too serious, but those things can be nagging.
Game to game.
Kevin McHale, feet. When you hear feet, you think of McHale and Walton.
Yep.
Drew Holiday, is that something to be worried about? I just think it's more than just the defense. They're relying a lot on Peyton Pritchard right now.
Yeah.
Will that continue? I don't know. I'd like to see them go on one of those runs, where they blow people out 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, they haven't done that yet.
Before I get too excited about it. But again, and I said this last week, 2 weeks ago, they're getting everybody's best effort.
Oh, no question.
Absolutely.
And in the NBA, that matters because in November, December, January, everybody plays at 90%.
Yeah.
Everybody. I don't care what they say. They get up for the big national games on TNT Friday nights or whatever. But most of the time, they're playing 90, 95%. They're getting everybody's 100%. And sometimes, look at Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland stormed back in the fourth quarter of that game last night. Mm-hmm. And the Celtics struggled to match that intensity.
And Cleveland was on a 2-game losing streak.
Right. And they outscored the Celtics, what was it, 34-18 in the fourth quarter?
Something like that.
That doesn't happen to them that often.
No.
Now, you wanted to talk about the Cup.
Well,
the NBA Cup.
The NBA Cup. Let's go over
it's an enigma.
You can talk about the Cup, but let me just set it up for you as to whether you think it's good or there should be changes. The Celtics need this. First of all, the Magic must defeat the Knicks. The reason there is a ridiculous scenario where the Knicks defeat the Magic, but they'd have to defeat them.
And that's on Tuesday night.
Yeah, all the games are on Tuesday night.
The 4th.
Yeah.
No, 3rd. Tuesday night, the 3rd.
So the Knicks would need to beat the Magic by 32 points because the Magic are plus 60 right now.
Yeah.
So forget that.
Right.
So the Magic need to defeat the Knicks. Then one of these two things has to happen. The Bucks need to defeat the Pistons. They're both 3-0 by 6 points, or the Pistons defeat the Bucks by 7 points.
Can I bet on both those things?
Yeah, really.
So that's where they are. The Celtics did not come to play against Atlanta, and it cost them.
Yeah.
And my guess is they don't make the
They're not. Those
quarterfinal.
those scenarios.
Yeah, because
I don't see them making
the Magic are only playing for home court tomorrow night. They're almost assured of making it, as long as they don't lose by 32. I think the Knicks will be more motivated. And to your theory about would you say October, November, December, or whatever you said, the team that plays at 90 against the team playing 100, the Knicks I think will play 100. They have to win, and I think they'll defeat the Magic because the Magic know that, hey, we just can't lose by 32.
Right.
Now, they are playing for home court. I'm not a big believer, but maybe they are.
There's a few problems with the Cup. One, let's get right in. The courts. Stop. Just please stop. I turned on a game. It was like, was it pink or red or I couldn't even look at it. Why did they? And second of all, it's way too confusing. Right, Paul? You told me this too. It's way too confusing.
Well, I was a big believer for 20 years that they ought to have a mid-season tournament. And what I envisioned was a traditional NCAA bracket where I don't know how you do it with the particular number of teams they have in the league and so forth. Maybe you have to give a couple of teams buys for being in first place, but you just ratchet it down to over a course of days. And if you get eliminated, then you play these consolation games, and the whole thing takes place in Las Vegas, and it's a lot of fun. This version of what they're doing to me is total gimmick.
Yeah.
It's just a gimmick.
I'm not enjoying it either.
And the problem is, number one, you can't follow it. You can't sit there and make a bracket like, okay, this team got eliminated, therefore I'm going to bet the next game or whatever. That was part of the fun when we all envisioned it. It takes too long. So from one night to the next, you're not sure, is this a cup game? Is this not a cup game?
Right.
And now you have situations like me, who have a small Celtic season ticket plan. I have a game next week. I don't know who they're playing, and I don't know what night they're playing.
Right. Yeah.
So how do people make plans?
Yeah.
I mean, some people might be driving down from Bangor, Maine.
That's
to go
right.
You got to get a Bangor, Maine reference in every show.
Yes, for Evan.
Okay. So I'm just, I don't know. Maybe I'm a spoiled sport because the Celtics don't seem to be that enthused about winning it. But it's just money to them.
Yeah.
Well,
although the Lakers did hang a banner.
I thought I would be enthused about it when they did it, or wanted to be enthused about it when they put this in, but I'm finding like I don't really care. I don't know why, but I don't really care. I just want them to win games, to have the best record, to maybe have home court advantage throughout the playoffs. That's what I care about.
So you're happy Cleveland lost to the Hawks?
There you go. Yes, I'm happy Cleveland
That
lost
would
to
have
the.
if we beat the Bulls, that would have.
Right. I can't seem. Maybe if they made it to Vegas and they were in I'd be excited about the championship game or whatever. I can't get excited about this. Like you said, it's one game's a cup game, one game's not a cup game. You got to win by 32. You got to lose by 7. You got to win by 6. You got to. I don't know. Maybe it's me because I didn't follow close enough, but I didn't know who was in bracket A, B, and C. I could never.
Couldn't find it online, Ken?
I could.
Well, we are.
But I can't.
I
I would describe the three of us as fairly serious NBA fans and extremely serious Celtics fans.
Yeah, sure.
And we weren't even sure.
So
I can only imagine what the average fan is dealing with, which is complete confusion and, ambivalence about the whole thing.
Let me address some of those points. I envisioned it as an NCAA-style tournament. However, what I didn't think of when I supported the idea of a cup, I thought it was going to be a huge bracket. And, you figure out the NBA's got 30, so they can't go from 32. So you just figure out the number of games you need, the number of buys you get to get down to 16 in the second round. You just figure that out. I've done it for organizations many times.
No, you just give 1 and 2 a bye.
No, you can't.
Why?
It doesn't work.
Why? 28 gets you down to 14, and then you add 2, that's 16.
Okay, you give 1 and 2 a bye. That's fine. All right, that works. Okay, so
Where
lost
were
my
we?
train. All right, I envisioned that, and I thought it would have been great because you got a bracket, and everybody loves the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of people don't even know the teams, they love to fill out brackets, right?
Yeah.
So I figured people would fill out a bracket. And as Paul said, the other teams could have made up the games by fixing the schedule after they lost. That didn't happen. What I failed to realize is that all around the world when they do these things, from the World Cup to the FA Cup, I think, to every other soccer mid-season tournament, this is the way they do it. And this is the way the NCAA does. I mean, the WNBA does it.
I didn't even know that.
So, yeah.
And I sort of follow that.
So, when you go from there, I think given this format that Americans aren't used to it, number one, and number two, that it's so stretched out that it is very confusing. I know why they stretch it out, because they want the interest, but if they really want interest, it should be 2 weeks set aside. And maybe as Scal said this morning, each team should play home and home, right? And then I would add, you stretch it out to 2 weeks. Because once you get to the quarterfinals, I'm sure people will be doing brackets. ESPN is going to have, I believe, a bracket that we could all fill out if we chose. So once you're at the quarterfinals, to me, it's more interesting. It's unfortunately the Celtics probably won't be there.
Right.
But for this, I think it's too confusing and too spread out. What I would do with them is say, 2 weeks, only cup games. Forget the courts. We know it's a cup game, because it's November 20th to December 5. We know it's cup.
Yeah.
Every
game's a cup game.
We keep our parquet. And I think people would be more into it if they knew every night that this is what was happening.
Yeah,
and then you can use the European format if you want. It keeps more teams in it, I guess, and then get it down to the 8.
Yeah, anything but what they're doing, because I just am not excited
Now,
about
one
it.
thing, I know people talk about this, but I love what Missoula did the other night.
Oh, yeah.
Called the timeout with 1.5, and then Hauser made the 3. I think that was great. Because first of all, I'm with Scal. Oh, I don't know if Scal, but I am tired of that NBA whatever.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, you got subs on the court who take 4 shots in a month.
Yeah.
They can't go shoot with 30 seconds left. What is the big deal? The other team has subs who don't shoot either. They'd probably want another possession, wouldn't they?
Yep. Just play the game.
I'll never forget one game I'm coaching, and we're winning by a lot. And the other coach came up to me and said, because I was stalling a little bit. There was no shot clock. He said, keep shooting. I want my guys to shoot. Because otherwise, he said, his theory was we won't get the ball back. So I told the kids, no steals, take 2 passes, whatever I said, shoot. They want you to shoot.
Yep.
And I think NBA subs would want to shoot.
So
Yeah,
what about
it's
the
silly.
sportsmanship question to it? Like,
We all know it. They all know it. They're big enough guys.
but
I
if
mean, come
if
on.
you're up 10 with 1.4, it was 6 or whatever. But let's say you're up 10
Yeah.
with 1.4 seconds left. Do you call a timeout to run a play if it's not a cup
Yes.
game?
1,000%.
No, of course not. If it's not a cup game,
Oh,
no.
if it's not a cup game,
No.
because there's nothing to be gained.
Well, so then the question is, point differential a good part of?
What else would you use?
I don't know.
Head to head is first.
Head to head is first. Is there any other way to do it so that it's
yeah, single elimination. You lose, you're out.
okay? I'm more for that then, because the point differential to me, I don't like it. I don't see why you have to shoot
You
with
weren't in favor
1.5.
of Hacker Drummond? That got us into the quarterfinals last year.
Right, it did. I just I don't know. I with 1.4, I'm glad he made the shot after he took it. I was like, hey, he made that. That's pretty good. But
And how about we also made a mistake in the Cleveland game. We allowed that shot from 10 feet from, I think it was Dang, which went in. Your son pointed that out.
Yeah.
Sam.
yeah, that's
right
right.
away he pointed that out.
Yeah.
Because these numbers, if we hadn't allowed that, would be 4 and 5. And I'm
Yep.
sure Sam is a very big, good fan. He will probably text us.
I have no
And I
problem.
don't blame him if he does. He should, because he pointed that out right away.
Like, I have no problem, like, if Celtics are up 25 points, they get the ball back with 33 seconds left and they don't shoot. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but you don't confuse.
The two scenarios.
Yeah.
I know.
Nobody wants them to be running up scores in meaningless games.
Right.
But if you have a situation where point differential is important, you have no choice. But
Right,
to
you have no
maximize
choice.
it.
I'm just wondering, is point differential the only way that they could do this? You said single elimination, and then you're out.
Yeah,
But
coin flip.
I don't know if there's any other way.
The point differential, by the way, in the old days, it used to be points scored, but then people figured out teams are just running it up. They don't even care if they play defense at the end. This is better than that. The second best alternative is points allowed. But I still say point differential is
Okay.
better than those two. So,
all right, that's it.
That's it.
Nothing else to say.
No.
We're going to wrap this up.
Yeah. So next time on Sports Nuts,
Next time on Sports Nuts,
we will be
next week.
talking about Boston talk show hosts.
Ooh, we like that, don't we?
Yes.
All right,
Including us.
All right, so that's it for Boston Sports Nuts this week, this episode. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching Boston Sports Nuts. You can find all of our episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. For more information, go to westwoodmediacenter.tv or follow Boston Sports Nuts on Facebook, Instagram, and X.